Hi guys, it's Stephanie here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a really interesting video for you, and I also invited my friend Niffy here in order to I'll keep that in order to speak on this topic. And today the topic is campus life versus city university life. And I just thought it'd be interesting to speak on this because a lot of people don't think about like the actual experience of where they'll be going to uni before they pick their university. So I thought this would be a really informative video for any prospective students out there, no matter what they're studying. So I think that we should begin by kind of talking about our backgrounds. I am a graduate now, but I attended Lancaster University for 3 years for my law LLB, and Lancaster is in the northwest of England. It's a smaller town, but it has like a university campus where everything kind of is, and it's like it's a proper campus university. So yeah, that's my background. Niffy?
I am in my final year of my law degree. I went to City University of London. It's basically the campus is the City of London, so we have like one main building in Angel, and then we have like other buildings like dotted around the city. And you'll find that for most London universities anyway, like that's how it is.
So yeah, so basically that's our backgrounds, and they're very different, so we thought that it would be good to talk about different topics and different things. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first topic that we kind of wanted to cover is kind of just like the main thing, which is living on a campus and living off of a campus. And the main two things that we want to talk about are accommodation and transport, because these are two things you'll have to think about if you're living in an on-campus university and if you're living off-campus. So for me, my experience living on campus in Lancaster, every first year was guaranteed a place on campus for first year, and that meant that I didn't have to pay for transport to and from the university for first year. I only had to pay for transport if I was going to town or any other place, and that meant that I was like saving a bit of money, then, you know, not transporting myself as much, and it meant getting to lectures was very quick. Like I used to, because of where I lived, I used to roll out of bed sometimes and like have 5 minutes and be able to make it to my lecture on time. So that was kind of my experience when it comes to transport. I didn't really have to pay for that.
For us, we're not guaranteed accommodation like close to university. I think we have like 3 like designated first year campuses and accommodations, and they're like 6 minutes from the uni, like 6-minute walk roughly. So if you're lucky, you can get one of those, but if not, you'll most likely live off campus. So that could be anywhere in the city. Like it can be expensive, so the closer you are, the more expensive, so just bear that in mind. But in first year, I would recommend you stay close to university, because it does work out a bit cheaper and easier, because if you're close, you'll have to, you know, get trains or buses, because London can be quite complicated to navigate when you first get there, so bear that in mind. Yeah.
So another thing to think about in terms of transport is whether your university kind of offers any sort of student discount for transport. So for Lancaster, we had you could get an offer for like £300, and I know that sounds like a lot, but if you didn't have this, transport would add up anyways. But you could get an offer for like £300 for a whole year of transport, and you'd never have to pay for the bus. You just have to tap your card every time you got on and off the bus, and it works out so much cheaper. Because when I didn't do that, I was spending like 500, nearly £600 on transport without me even knowing, and I think it was just better for me to spend the 300 at once. But I know for London it can be kind of different and a little bit more expensive, for instance.
London is definitely more expensive just because
it's London.
Like, yeah, it's London. So the way it works in London is we use Oyster cards for buses and for the underground, and there's also an overground as well. So you can get like a monthly pass for like TfL, like the transport company, and for zones 1 and 2, which is like central London, it's going to cost you about £100 a month. But if you have the student Oyster card, which I recommend you get, it'll cost you like 96.
Yeah, a little discount,
you know.
every little helps.
No, but it actually does help, because I like.
But these are the kind of things you need to know, because if you didn't, you might just pay for the bus every single time, or pay for the Oyster every single time, and it adds up. Like when you're a student, you want to be saving your money, so you don't want to be spending it all on transport just to get to and from places.
And also, one more point. Get a student rail card as well.
Oh yes,
yeah,
a rail card. That is important, because even for me, I lived in Lancaster, but I went to Manchester a lot. I went to London to visit her a lot, and so if you have a rail card, that just gives you like a really good discount on any train tickets. So if you haven't gotten a rail card yet already, because you can get them from age 16, I think, get a rail card, because it's £30, but it's £30 for a year, and you just get insane discounts on any train journeys. Yeah. The next topic that I wanted to kind of touch on is experiences like actually living in those cities or living in that environment. For me, because I lived on campus, there was a lot of stuff on our campus to do. Like there was a lot of stuff like in a central location. We had a lot of all of our societies met on campus. Everything happened on campus. Dances, balls and stuff all kind of happened on campus, and kind of everything was just in one place. I'd say the biggest difference between campus universities and like living in a city kind of university is that everything on your campus is in one place. So even if you end up living off campus in like the town of whatever city that is, you'll still always go to one place, to one campus, to get everything done, go to all your events. And depending on like your area, like for me in Lancaster, we had a dedicated nightclub like run by our student union, so that's where a lot of people went on their nights out, and there was like local bars and stuff. But yeah, especially because it was a smaller city, it was definitely more of a community feel, more of like a group, like a community, like you were kind of seeing the same people, seeing the same faces constantly. But I bet that was much different in London.
In London there's always something to do, so you won't be bored. You always find like somewhere to go, something to do, something to see. When it comes to like more university kind of experiences, you can go on campus to like, there's like my university has like a bar, it's called City Bar. People go there like after lectures, during lectures, before lectures. they're always there. there's like things like that. But yeah, there's also like societies that held like in the university as well. And also one other thing is, when you're looking at university, try to talk to people around like London, especially because different universities have different kind of social lives. Like my university isn't great for social life on campus because we have a lot of commuter students. So most people come in like they have a lecture at 2 p.m. They wouldn't be willing to really stay like the 4 or 5 hours to wait for the societies to be on in the evening. So we don't have like a booming like social life, but there is lots of things to do outside of university. So once you make your friends, you guys will have like lots of things to do. There's also clubs around London, especially they're not really like student dedicated clubs, but on Tuesdays and Wednesdays especially is student nights. Most people do, so you'll find like most students go out those nights. I know Ministry of Sound, theirs is a popular one. I think it was on a Tuesday last year. It's really good. There's also Egg, what is that? I can't remember the names off my head, but like you will find like loads of places to go out if you want to go out. Even if like nightlife isn't your thing, there still is other things to do, like museums you can go for free. You can get into like certain like theaters, like plays. If you go like last minute, you may be looking to get like a spare ticket, which is something a lot of people don't know, and it's for extra cheap as well. So
yeah, and I'd say something that would be a big difference is like a lot of campus universities tend to be in smaller towns, or the university campus itself and tends to be like the biggest thing that city has to offer. So for me, Lancaster is quite a small, it's a city, but it was a small city. So although the campus was there and there was lots to do on campus, the actual city itself wasn't as like, there wasn't as many options of things. So I'd say like you have to think about things like that when you're like looking for a university. Do I want to have like a community on campus, but then maybe not as much of a social kind of thing outside of that? Or do you want to have, or can you sacrifice like the community element of a campus to just like have like your little group of friends that you go out with and do things with? I'd say there's a lot to do in London. So if you're like the kind of person who's really adamant on having a really active social life, partying, doing things like that, I'd say it's possible with both, but London would probably be like a place where you'd look at. For us, I'd say what a lot of people did do was travel to a club. Sometimes they'd get the train to Manchester or another booming like Party University surrounding that's close, since like a lot of Party universities are up north, and like they'd go there. So that's something that you could do if that's an experience that you're looking for.
Yeah, and even like as much as there is still in London, people do end up going to the Midlands for like raves, especially like black students, like because you know the Midlands have a big like party scene like on their university campuses. So there's always like a bus or a train to Birmingham, which is it can be reasonable depending like how you book your tickets or when you get your tickets.
So yeah, that's definitely part. Is there any I don't know if there is, but is there a difference in the kind of accommodation that's offered? Like, is there a difference?
If you're in London and you want like nice accommodation, like if your friends in like the Midlands or like up north or I don't know where else in England, they're like in their nice studios with their big beds for like I don't know, like £106 a week. No, you're not getting that.
Yeah,
no,
that's something that kind of put me off London, I'm not gonna lie. It is expensive there. Like, I definitely say like you do have to pay more to get more than you would if you came to like university. Like I had an accommodation at Lancaster that was private owned, but it was still for Lancaster University, and I was paying £140 a week for a nice big room with an ensuite, and I only lived with 4 other people, and we had a nice big kitchen and a living room, and it was a really nice space. And you paid how much?
I stayed in a student accommodation, which was like 20 minutes by bus. I paid £151.
Oh, that's not that bad. I thought it was gonna be outrageous.
It was probably no, I lied. I paid 173.
I was gonna say, I paid 150 still sounded a bit reasonable.
And it was like, it was a single bed. You saw my accommodation.
I did.
It's a single bed.
It was
a tiny bathroom.
It was
bathroom.
It was cute.
And there was no elevator either.
Oh, that was a struggle.
There was no elevator.
Yeah, that was a struggle.
The water was out for a while, at least 3 times. I had to buy a bucket.
It was cute, but a tiny bit better.
I had to buy a bucket. I'm not joking.
No, but seriously, that's the thing. Like, this is the thing people don't think about. If you had this dream of like living a comfortable student life, unless you're willing to pay for it in London, don't.
Like, if you're a normal person and you think you're gonna get to London living in a skyscraper apartment overlooking like the Thames at Dirty River, no.
Yeah, exactly.
The studios are for £300 a week minimum. So yeah, just take that into account. Yeah, doesn't mean you can't do it. You can definitely like find places for cheap.
Yeah.
It just won't be that nice.
Exactly.
Or the area may be a bit dodgy. Like, I know my friend, she moved out of her accommodation early because she hated it that much.
Yeah. And this is the kind of thing you need to
think my friend got robbed.
Oh, you're gonna have to tell me that on camera. But I think that's another thing to think about. Like, there's a lot of decisions that come into place. Like, I was thinking about accepting offer from Queen Mary when I first started university, but I didn't end up doing that, blah blah. I spoke to some people who were also considering Queen Mary when I got into my university, and they were saying like, oh, the area where their accommodation is, it doesn't feel like the safest place ever, and things like that. So you have to think about your security. The thing is, you're also moving to university and you want a good experience. You're away from home, and if you're somebody who gets easily homesick, or you're easily like affected by how your surroundings are, you want to be making yourself as comfortable and as happy as possible where you are. So if you know that a nice big room that you can decorate all cute is going to make you the happiest, then you have to think, okay, what university is going to offer me that, as well as, you know, just the grades. Because I know university is about like studying and your degree, of course, but you're not going to be able to be happy in your degree if you're not in a place that makes you happy, realistically. Like, I was a freshers rep when I was in second year, and one of my freshers ended up leaving the university because she just didn't settle in there, and it's that serious that like if you don't make the right choice and you don't make a choice that feels like good to you, that feels like home to you, that you might end up regretting it, and then that's time you've wasted, and you don't want to do that. So it's best to make the best informed decision.
At the same time, don't feel the need to stay if you're not enjoying it from the start. I know like some people who they get to like halfway through second year and then they just drop out and try to change. And although like that can work, it's not like the best position to
exactly.
be in.
So make sure it's
just
something
know
that you
yourself.
exactly. Make sure it's something that you really, really want, and it's gonna make you really happy. So.
Well, I just wanted to mention about London as well. I know like there can be like dangerous areas, but I do say it is a big city. Like, that's just the reality of cities.
Yeah, I feel like even if you were to go to Manchester, if you were to go to any other big city, there'd still be problems that cities just encounter.
Like the way cities are, you can literally like be in a like I guess dangerous area, but then walk like literally turn the corner and you're in like
a bougie
like more expensive area. That's just how cities are. And in general, you should be okay unless you're a Londoner and you're like in the wrong place wrong time. You should be okay. Like
because like I used to have a stigma about London. I'm not gonna lie, I used to be terrified of London, but then I stayed with her for 2 weeks last summer and I like, enjoyed
honestly, it's fun.
It's great. The last point that I would like to make that I think is really important is to know that, like, I think it ties into everything, ties into picking somewhere where you feel comfortable at home, is to kind of know the kind of person you are and know the kind of environment that you thrive in. Like you were saying that,
like if you are like a quiet person, like not necessarily quiet, but if you don't enjoy like a fast-paced lifestyle, then London or a bigger city won't be for you, because London is very fast. Like people, what I noticed when I went there is Londoners walk like faster than normal people walk. Like it's like they're like it's, I don't know, you probably won't believe it until you actually experience it, but they're like on ×2 speed when they walk. Like my walking speed had to increase when I moved, because it just, I don't know, they're always rushing, they're always going somewhere. So if you can't keep up with like that kind of lifestyle, then a bigger city won't be for you. Also, like if you like kind of like
country walks,
country walks at night, and you like to, I don't know, wander into dark alleyways and know that you're safe, don't do that. Don't come to London. Exactly.
Like I'd say I'm a quiet person, and I'd say I feel like just because you're a quiet person doesn't mean you can't live in London. Like, because like honestly, like having an environment like that could honestly truly bring you out of your shell, make you more confident. I feel like moving away from me in general, because we live both from Ireland, we moved to the UK for university. Moving away in general was a big step for me as a very shy, quiet person. So I still feel like I grew and changed a lot and became more confident, even though I just moved to, again, another smaller city type of scene. But you can still go to a city like London if you're shy, and it can just bring you out of your shell. But if you know that you don't thrive in an environment like that, like you love being maybe surrounded by nature, or you love like she said, going on walks at night and doing things like that, or having that
feel.
Yeah, exactly. If you want that, I'd say like a campus university or a smaller university or somewhere like that would be suited to your taste, because you'd feel so at home there. And the thing is, I feel like even when you go to university, you're never trapped. You can always travel. So if you do want a taste of that city life every once in a while, for me, Lancaster is an hour away from Manchester by train, and a lot of us went to Manchester for like a bit of a city feel, or 2.5 hours to London for a little while here and there. Like, it's possible. And if you're in the city and you want to escape every once in a while, it's also possible. It's just a little bit more expensive.
Well, that's just I think if you're quiet, I do recommend trying to live in London. Like, don't let that stop you, because being in that environment, kind of getting out of, for me personally, I felt like once I was out of like the constraints of like a small town, I was able to just like be myself, because there's so many people and there's so much going on that you don't feel like you're kind of trapped into kind of the quiet person that you were when you're at home. So if you, I say challenge yourself if you feel like you can, if you can like afford it, and there's different ways to afford it as well, but
that could be a whole other video.
Like, look up to that. But no, just definitely push yourself, because I love London. It's an amazing city. Like, being in a city is like an amazing experience, and I think you should at least try it anyway if you're thinking about it. And if you have any like apprehension, just go for it, honestly. Like you really come out like a whole different person.
And if you are somebody who has been looking at campus because you like the campus vibe, I couldn't recommend that enough as well, because honestly I really enjoyed having campus. I enjoyed having everything in one place. I enjoyed the community feel. I enjoyed being able to walk up and down and see familiar faces all the time. And so it just depends, you know. It just depends on what you have. Everything is just to go for something that really appeals to you and you feel like, okay, I'll be happy here, because that will make studying your degree easier. That will make studying better. If you're in a comfortable environment, that will just make everything a little bit better for you. Exactly. So yeah, that's all we have for you for the video. Thank you, Nifi, for joining me. Thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We did like rant a bit here and there, but I hope you enjoyed our humor and enjoyed our points. If you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys again for another one. Bye.